are the 6 steps to a great sales pitch, which include the warmer, the reframe, rational drowning, emotional impact, a new way, in your solution. Can you walk us through each of those steps briefly?
Yeah, sure. So the first, and we had the benefit. One of the things I always say about Challenger is that, we didn't make this up. We found what best salespeople had already figured out on their own, and we gave language to it and told this story. And so, and similarly, the 6-step process, that what we call the choreography of an insight-based sales conversation, a Challenger sales conversation, those 6 steps you just mentioned, that was reverse engineered from companies like Grainger that had already figured this out. And so we can't take credit for it. We didn't invent it. They did. And we just kind of created a framework that everyone could follow. But let me walk you through the 6 steps. So the first one is the warmer. Now you think about how most of us start a sales conversation. It's usually like the first 4 slides are our mission and values as a company.
This is
all
who
the
we are.
This is who we are. Here's all the other companies that trust us with a big logo, our logo brag sheet, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a page that has like a map with a whole bunch of dots on it to show how many offices you have. Like everybody's got the same first 4 slides. And there's 2 things wrong with that. I think one is that it's not very differentiated. Of course, it's not the thing that makes you unique. But also, it doesn't go at the beginning of a sales presentation. And the other thing we know is that also at the beginning of the sales presentation or sales conversation, you don't want to start with a question. You want to start with what's keeping you up at night. I actually remember a chief information officer I met with years ago. We're reviewing some of the early research, and he was complaining about how all salespeople walk into his office and ask him what's keeping him up at night. And he said, what's keeping me up at night is the thought of the next salesperson who comes in is going to ask me in about an hour. He's going to ask me what's keeping me up at night.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying.
Very annoying.
I experience it. Yeah, it's like I don't want to have to explain my business to you.
Exactly. What was interesting is the CIO said, when salespeople, because I said, it's interesting you're complaining about this because most heads of sales think that's a very empathetic way to sell. That's the core of needs diagnosis and solution selling. And he said, it's not the questions I object to. Everyone's got to ask questions when they sell. I'm not going to do business with a vendor who doesn't get to know me and my company and my team and what's important to us. But I hate the way salespeople today use that question where they put the job of selling on my plate. It belongs on theirs. When they come in and ask me what's keeping me up at night, what they fail to appreciate is they're going to meet with more CIOs just like me in a week than I'm going to meet with all year. So don't ask me what's keeping me up at night. Tell me what should be keeping me up at night. Let's start the conversation there. And so the warmer is specifically designed to create a different feel from the very, very beginning of the sales conversation. Think about a slide in which you as a salesperson are putting on a slide, just literally bullet it out. What do you think the answer to the question, what's keeping you up at night, would be? But don't ask the customer that question. Just take your best stab at it. So, we talked about Grainger before. They sell supplies to buildings. You think about, if you or I were a Grainger sales rep and we're going to sell the Grainger value proposition to a head of purchasing in a hospital, we could hypothesize that they probably care a lot about COVID. They probably care a lot about worker safety. They probably care a lot about productivity and patient outcomes. They probably care a lot about costs, right? We could do a pretty good job. The goal here is not to be right. Now, you're not going to be right without talking to the customer. The goal is to make the customer feel like, first what they're thinking is, thank God you didn't ask me what's keeping me up at night. But it also just creates a different feel up front. That's going to require that you as a salesperson do a little bit of homework. Now, you might be calling on a company or a customer you've never met with before. And so you're wondering, how would I know what's keeping them up at night? But here's what I tell you is, reflect back on the other companies you've met with, the other customers you've met with who are similar to that customer. What was keeping them up at night? Then I would tell you, do a little bit of homework. See what news you can gather about this company. Are they shrinking? Are they growing? Have they been acquired recently? Did they just acquire somebody recently? What's going on in their business? And again, generate a hypothesis. Or even another resource, go ask your colleagues, right? Say, hey, I've never sold to anybody in this space before, but I know you sold that deal last month. Can you tell me a little bit about what they were focused on? Because I think it might be relevant for this customer too. Now, the goal is to create a conversation, not to be 100% right. So the customer's going to look at your warmer, look at your list of hypotheses, and they're going to say, yeah, this is great. We're totally focused on this. Not so much these other things over here. And by the way, you missed a few things, right? But it creates a productive conversation right away. Then the second step, if the warmer is all the things that the customer already knows about. The reframe is the thing they didn't see coming. So this is the insight that grabs them by the lapels and shakes them out of their comfort zone. It's the thing that they overlooked. It's the thing they missed. That's where you deliver your insight. Now, if you're going to say, as a salesperson, if you're going to say something provocative, frame breaking, truly insightful, you're going to show the customer a new way to make money or save money, avoid risk that they've never come up with on their own before. You better be able to back it up. And so the next step beyond that, we call rational drowning. You got to be able to have data that backs up that what you just said is factually true.
Right. This is where the graphs, the charts, the business case for
exactly
the shocking insight that you laid out in the reframe.
That's right, and it's got to be verified. And now the thing is, for business customers, they'll often buy an emotion but justify with reason. And so we also need to appeal to the emotional level. We call that the emotional impact. So we need to think about, like, why does this insight matter to this person? Why does it matter to their team, to their department, to their objectives, to their career aspirations? How do we really make them see themselves in this? And that's going to differ. Whether you're talking to HR or finance or legal or IT or whoever you're meeting with, or people who are senior or people who are junior, they're going to see different angles on this opportunity, and you got to tailor your message to them. Now, the fifth step is the new way forward. So the new way forward is where you show the customer what they could make, what they could save, what risks they could mitigate by solving for that reframe, by solving for the opportunity you just taught them was out there, you just backed up with data, and you just made them personally care about. And it's at that point where the customer, this is not yet about your company and your product and your policies and all the stuff you can do for them. This is a supplier agnostic thing. This is merely you saying, what would it mean to you as a person, as a business owner, as a leader, to be able to solve for that opportunity? What would it mean in dollar terms? What would it mean in terms of risk mitigation and exposure you're seeing in your business right now? And then box number 6 is where you talk about your policies, your solution, your products, your services, your company. And at that point, if you've done this well, it's merely a happy coincidence that you're the only company out there that can actually solve the problem that you've laid out for the customer. Getting this right, there's 2 steps to get this right for an organization. By the way, I would point out, for most companies, I would tell you this is not the job of your salespeople to come up with this. This is a job of the company to come up with this.
Yeah, it's the organization.
That's right. Because you don't want your salespeople coming up with like a different insight for every single customer. You want insights that map to key segments in the market that you sell into, key use cases, for instance. But the 2 key things you have to get right are, 1 is the box 6. This is the our solution piece. And I was sort of saying tongue in cheek that we all have the same first floor slides in the beginning of our pitch deck. And the thing that's really wrong with that is, A, it doesn't go to the beginning of the pitch deck, but B, there's nothing unique about that stuff. And so as suppliers, and as leadership teams, we've got to actually wrestle with the question, why should the customer buy from us instead of our competitors? Especially in this industry, think about how commoditized many of our customers will feel like insurance is. Oh, it's all the same, right? There might be certain elements of the product or service that are similar or even identical, but what is the reason they should buy for company A versus company B? Because I guarantee you, they've got company A, B, and C on their short list, and you better be able to differentiate why your company is the one they should buy from instead of the other 2. Now, what that does is it actually ties to the second step. So the next question you ask yourself, once you answer the question, why should the customer buy from us instead of our competitors? What is it that makes our company truly unique? Our service, our value proposition, our policies, truly distinctive and unique. And that's the thing we're trying to lead to. We're not leading with it, we're leading to it. But the other question you got to ask yourself is, why do customers not pay you for that competitive advantage today? Why is there not a line of customers around the block waiting to write checks to you for that unique benefit, that unique differentiator that you provide that nobody else can touch with a barge pole? The answer to that question is the reframe. This is the thing that has to be true in the customer's world for them to want to pay you for the thing that makes you unique. Those are the 2 key components, the 2 key pillars in that 6-step process. I wouldn't say the rest of it is kind of window dressing, but the rest of it is those. If you don't get those 2 pieces right, figure out why the customer should buy from you instead of your competitors, and then figure out what would have to be true for this customer to say, yes, I need that capability, and I'm willing to pay a premium for that capability over other capabilities I could buy in the market. If you can't answer those 2 questions, this whole thing doesn't work.